everyone. I'm so excited to introduce you to Dr. Kimberly Tew, our new Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction. Dr. Tew comes to Princeton with more than 20 years as a public educator. She recently served as an administrator in the Robbinsville Public School District. And today, I wanted to take a moment to help us get to know Dr. Tew. So welcome, Dr. Tew. Kimberly, Kim, which do you prefer?
Perfectly fine.
Okay, well, thank you for joining me today. So I'm going to be asking you a few questions and putting my Oprah Winfrey hat on here. Let's see how I do. All right, so this first one is an easy question. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I've lived in Mercer County for 20 years now. I live with my husband, Ben, and our almost 5-year-old daughter, Emily, who will be entering kindergarten next year, which is really exciting as a public educator. You know, I'm very excited for her. I can't wait to go school supply shopping. Professionally, I began my career in West Windsor, Plainsboro, next door, as a social studies educator at Grover Middle School. Was there for several years. And then I became an administrator in Robbinsville. I became the K-8 supervisor of curriculum, of everything.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it was a lot, but learned a lot in the process. And K-12 supervisor of professional development. And then I became the assistant soup of curriculum instruction 6 years ago there. And then, here I have landed up in my third Mercer County School District and thrilled to be here and working for Princeton.
Well, we are thrilled to have you. So welcome again. All right. So what about Princeton caught your attention?
Well, as I said, being a local for the past 20 years, really, familiar with Princeton's, reputation, the standard of excellence, the amount of programming and course levels and work that Princeton offers is something that is really aspiring, not just within the school day, but extracurricular opportunities as well in research and programming. Something else that really strikes my heart about Princeton is the mission to develop joy and purpose in students. To me, education should be joyful and it really should be inspiring. And so that's something you don't see a lot in mission and vision statements. And so, when I was thinking about my career path and ultimate goals, I really wanted to be in a district that aligned philosophically with where I wanted, if I were to send my daughter here, that kind of thing, what I wanted for my child. And hearing about, the purpose of equity and joy and purpose here, that was something that really rung a bell for me, and which is why I applied for the position.
And we are so glad that you did. What do you hope for the PPS community in the next few years?
It's a great question. I feel that we are all battered from the past years of COVID, and I mean staff, students, and families. And so I hope for healing. I hope for growth and development, because it feels that so much of our deep work as educators, and I just mean outside of Princeton too, across the country, has been dealing with managing how we're responding to a virus. And, and obviously that had to take a priority. But how now can we reset and continue to move forward? And I do think that the strategic planning process can really help us do that and help us become aligned. We have newer leadership at, the central office level, working as a team and having that common vision across Princeton Public Schools for those next steps, and think about how we can continue to enhance and grow and come up with some long range planning coming off of this pandemic. And so that's really where my hope is so how can we build some momentum to move forward and really reflect and enhance and improve our instructional programming.
I love that. And it leads us so nicely to our next question. At PPS, we have been working by the words, building on the best of Princeton. What does that phrase mean to you?
It means so much. I mean, I think that Princeton already has so many wonderful things in place, from programming to community partnerships and initiatives to the phenomenal teaching staff. It's so how do we take what we have and use that as a foundation to keep growing? And like you said, I think that really ties to that last question.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we build with this strategic planning? We sort of have a direction in that roadmap. So how do we add reflection in that constant refinement? And how do I, as a new employee here, and I'm sure there's other new employees across the district as well, or new families or new students, how do we contribute to Princeton's wonderful legacy of public education? And so how do we align and how do we welcome in, new voices and new initiatives, but still honor Princeton's past and legacy while doing so?
Yeah, I love that. I love that, especially the honoring the past, what is here. Okay, last two questions. First, what's on your summer reading list?
Reading all of Princeton's curriculum.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, there's a lot to do. However, I do have like a wish list for summer.
Okay.
I have my Kindle and lots of things. So I downloaded it's a book called Good Arguments by Bo Co, and it was recommended by Adam Grant, who's a famous professor from UPenn and has a podcast about culture and work life.
Okay.
And what he talks about in this book, Good Arguments, Bo, is right now we live in a very polarized world. And so how do we, he's a debate champion, like an international debate champion.
Okay.
How do we recognize our own views within ourselves, and how do we recognize it in others? And instead of always coming at loggerheads, how do we work with others to build consensus? And move forward versus kind of, it seems like in the world today, there's a lot of fighting and not a lot of movement and momentum forward. So I'm looking to see if there's solutions in this book. I haven't started reading it yet, but I did download it. So I'm halfway,
Okay, you're halfway there. And it's called Good Arguments? Good
Arguments by Bo, I think it's SEO.
Okay, I will definitely download it on my Kindle as well. And then the final question, any words of encouragement to our graduating class?
Well, first off, just congratulations. It's such an achievement. And, no one, when they entered high school, these poor students didn't think that a global, catastrophe was going to happen. And high school is tough enough. And to navigate that, it really kudos, to them. And, alongside of that, I think that they'll quickly find, if they haven't already, that life doesn't always take us, where we want it to go. But when we're open to possibilities, sometimes those paths that we weren't going to venture down end up being extremely fruitful and extremely wonderful. So while they've had to deal with so much change, over the past few years, I hope that they feel that Princeton Public Schools has prepared them for whatever that next step will be, and that they remain open, to possibilities as they journey forward. So congratulations to the class of 2022. It's wonderful.
Yes, congratulations. Thank you for that. So thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us a little bit about who you are and what you're hoping for Princeton Public Schools. And once again, welcome. We are so delighted to have you on board, Dr. Tew. Thank you
so much, Dr. Kelley. I really appreciated talking with you today.